Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have the Australian Grand Prix here from Melbourne Albert Park coming your way fresh off of back-to-back Red Bull wins to kick off the season. But it was not Max Verstappen last episode, it was Sergio Perez. An unfortunate start to this episode where all upgrades that we had coming in failed. So we had to go back in and get them all back into being developed going into Australia. So we're actually coming in as the worst rated team on the grid, as we had some big news coming into the Australian Grand Prix weekend. Just moments before FP1, Carlos Sainz, it was announced, will miss the weekend due to appendicitis. Ferrari has brought up Oliver Bearman to make his Formula One debut here in Australia this weekend now, as he will try to pilot that Ferrari to a top 10 result. For us, nothing really changes. We're part of the Ferrari Academy, but I did not expect to get the call up simply because we've already got a full-time gig going on here at Williams, and sure enough, we did not get the call by Ferrari. It is Bearman in the car, so we'll see how Bearman fares here in practice, but mainly, of course, qualifying and the Grand Prix. And for myself, it's, like I said, really business as usual. What can we do as we have been looking for some consistency? Of course, we had a great outing in our debut in Bahrain, finished P11, just shy of getting a point after passing Devin Butler, this guy right here alongside us late in that Grand Prix. But Jeddah, very different scenario. We really faded as that race went on and just did not have a good outing in Saudi Arabia. It was pretty rough. So looking for overall a better weekend here, and I'm confident we can find that. Of course, we have not made it through into Q2 yet as a team between myself and Alex Albon. I'm not expecting to do that again as well this weekend because with the lack of upgrades coming in because they all failed, like I said, Williams is the lowest team in the R&D coming into this weekend. So obviously we've got some work to do, work to be done that we obviously are going to have to be just patient for, wait for it to come hopefully in the next episode as we suit up, get the helmet on, and get ready to roll in qualifying. But like I said, expecting to be a Q1 exit here now as we kick things off on this run into turn 1. Casper Ackerman briefly goes top of the board here now as we get rolling through this first and opening sector, and I was relatively happy with the way the car was driving at this point in time. Decent pace behind the wheel of this Williams now, as we did have to lift right at the end of that chicane there to make sure I didn't invalidate my lap going wide. So we come through the last couple of corners there. Penultimate turn was okay, and then of course that long sweeping right-hander. You just got to be really patient there to get hard on the throttle. Hamilton goes top of the board. We come to the line, and we are actually ahead of our teammate of Albon as well as Valtteri Bottas, but we come through to now our second lap late in the session. We were down to 15th and 16th as a team, so Albon out, myself in, but we know everybody is going to be improving on this final run, including myself. We found about a tenth of a second, nearly 2/10 of a second as we go through the chicane for the final time here now. This is such a make or break spot of your lap, and we have managed to find about 3.5 tenths of a second gain as we have just a few corners to go, so things are looking pretty good until right there, and that's it. We invalidate our lap time, and now we're gonna be out in Q1. Not the only Williams out, Albon is out in P16. We end up dropping to 19th place in front of one of the home drivers of Daniel Ricciardo. Let's head to the grid in a frustrating qualifying effort.
Welcome to Melbourne, and welcome to the Australian sun. We're still getting used to some track revisions here, but the core hasn't changed. This is a beloved classic of the F1 calendar, and it's time for the Australian Grand Prix. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Russell, Norris, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Bearman, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, Stroll, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Albon, Butler, Ackerman, Golden Boy, Bottas, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So then, we are ready to roll here from this Sunday afternoon in Melbourne. It's going to be a two-stop strategy today, actually, and we're going to be starting on softs, and we'll be going to 2 sets of mediums on the other stops here now as we get ready to hit the grid.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out.
Let's bounce back today, guys. Go get us another win.
In a good spot here, let's capitalize on it today.
Good luck today, Lewis. Get after it in turn 1 here.
Yeah, thanks, Toto. Let's have a good day, guys.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Sorry about yesterday, everybody, but we know what we're capable of here. We're going to go forward.
Bright sunny day out here, mate. Let's run as well as the weather today.
A nice inspirational even quote there from our race engineer of Mark as we get ready to roll here on the grid from the very back row, of course, of this Australian Grand Prix now, as Max Verstappen set to lead the field into turn number 1, finished runner-up last episode to Sergio Perez, as we are ready to go racing. Daniel Ricciardo just behind myself now, as Valtteri Bottas P19, here we go. It's going to be lights out, and we're racing from Albert Park, and Verstappen immediately goes to cover off the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, 3 wide around the outside through turn 1. To the lead goes the 7-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen to second, Leclerc third. In the background you see the other red Ferrari of Oliver Bearman. Got some work to do early on in his Formula 1 debut in replacement of Carlos Sainz, who misses this weekend with appendicitis. Of course, Sainz will be back in the next episode here. Of course, that happened in real life. Someone mentioned I should have done it in the career mode, so I decided to do it, of course, 1 episode later, but we're still doing it nonetheless. On this opening lap, you can see everybody already single file getting things sorted out. For myself, had a decent start off the grid here. Now is basically I didn't gain anything. I'm still P18, so just lined up behind my teammate of Alex Albon, who lost a position on the start. Max Verstappen is all over the back of Lewis Hamilton already. Does he have the opportunity right here to go to the point now as he looks maybe left? Yes, he does. Hamilton leaves it open, and this is where you want to be. You want to go around the outside of this corner, but Hamilton, he is not going to make it easy. They'll continue wheel to wheel. Leclerc has a great sight of this. Lando Norris in P4 in the background now, going into the penultimate corner. Can Verstappen get cleared? No, he can't. Hamilton keeps it around the outside and now up the inside through the final turn. They lean on each other a little bit. Verstappen's going to get the power down on the exit of the final turn. A drag race down the front straightaway, and here comes Lando Norris. Makes it 2 rows of 2 wide into turn number 1. Verstappen to the point, to the lead of this Grand Prix around the outside, and Norris slips through into P3 over Leclerc. Perez there in the background as well, just outside of the top 5. As for myself, we settle in to 18th place in a dramatic opening lap here of this Australian Grand Prix. 29 laps of racing, of course, here from Albert Park, and my goodness, that first one had it all right off the bat for the battle up at the very front of this race now, as I'm slipping and sliding already a little bit here on just the second lap of this Grand Prix now. As you can see, definitely struggling a little bit here for some grip, and that was allowing Valtteri Bottas and the Kick Sauber to go up my inside here, actually into the heavy braking zone. Not too concerned when it goes up my inside here. We just have the advantage when we're on the left side of the circuit. We stay ahead comfortably. Ricciardo, one of 2 home drivers in the field at the back of the grid right now in P20. Sergio Perez is in trouble. He's getting passed now by Oliver Bearman. This is for P9, but I don't think this is going to be an easy pass. Bearman on the mediums compared to Perez on the softs. Nothing happens there, but towards the end of this lap here on the DRS straight, the final one, here comes Bearman back up the inside, and he's going to get the job done here. And as well, just getting a report from Mark on the condition of Sergio Perez's Red Bull.
Okay, Perez is losing power in his car. He's going to back up the field here.
You hear it there, Perez losing power in his Red Bull, and you can see the difference on the track map. Bearman's gotten through. He's trying to go past. Esteban Ocon's going through as well. But for us, we maintained the 18th position, but we're not really going to lose much time because at the very front of this train, that's Sergio Perez really backing up everybody. So we are all clumped right here together, just kind of being patient, letting things play out. I'm looking for, of course, overtaking opportunities, but I'm just not quite getting enough out of this car. A bit of a slide there out of the final turn, going up over the curbing. But yeah, I just couldn't really do much on this soft compound tire. I was really struggling, and now Albon's starting to go forward. He's passing the veteran of Casper Ackerman in his final Australian Grand Prix here, as we're all over the back of the Dutchman here now, and you can see that Ackerman is definitely fading in this Haas as the laps go on. Ricciardo as well has gotten past Valtteri Bottas now. He's up to P19, just behind myself. Bottas drops down into the 20th position, but I continue to struggle a little bit here for grip now, and here comes Daniel Ricciardo with a potential move. Here he goes up the inside. He's going to get the overtake done there, as I just didn't have the confidence I needed to just lunge it down into the corner at this point. I'm really starting to struggle after only, 5-6 complete laps on the soft compound tire. It's just not working for me right now, so really just looking forward to getting onto the medium compound tires. You can see still slipping and sliding, and that's going to open the door of opportunity for Valtteri Bottas now to get up my inside on the run into turn number 1. Here he goes, and I just have no confidence right now, so we let him go. We're down into dead last position, which is quite concerning. After 7 laps, Albon maintains 16th in front of Ackerman here as we start the 7th lap of this Grand Prix, and Albon's on the mediums compared to my softs. Yellow flags actually at the front. It's Verstappen, Max Verstappen with an engine failure. Hamilton goes off circuit, and that's going to potentially bring out a safety car. Leclerc and Norris rustled through into 1, 2, 3. Safety car is deployed. Verstappen blows up on the nose of Hamilton, who goes off circuit now. Everybody, I would imagine, is going to come into the pit lane, including myself. Let's go on board with Lewis Hamilton and see exactly what he saw. And yeah, that's an absolute mess. Of course, it's no wonder why he went off circuit there. Just not really sure what to do in that situation. However, to our surprise, Hamilton stays on the racetrack, and so does Pierre Gasly. Everybody else pits, while Verstappen is out of the Grand Prix, which is a huge blow to him and Red Bull Racing. We saw him, of course, go out in Australia early on in the real-life season, but now all these teams double stacking here. But there was such a separation between some of the cars, of course, with Perez holding up everybody, that we're not really in a full-blown double stacking for every team. It kind of got sorted out pretty easily, but we somehow make a nice gain. We're into P15 after that whole double stack situation for the back half of the grid. So Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, they're 1-2. They are going to be lacking some pace, and it looks like they're trying to do a one-stop strategy, which I just don't see how this is going to work, because everybody else is still going to have to pit one more time as well. That just pitted now, including myself, as you see Piastri, Ocon. How about Oliver Bearman there, P9, Perez, and P10 as we get ready to go back racing coming to lap 10. So Hamilton and Gasly will be, of course, up at the front, but we know that they're going to be going backwards, and let's see what they have as we're back racing. And Hamilton already has, a good 3 to 4 car length gap just about on the Frenchman of Gasly, who you can already see is holding up Leclerc. A lot more pace in that Mercedes compared, of course, to the Alpine. Leclerc's all over the back of Gasly. Doesn't foresee issues, surprisingly, here. Time is of the essence here when Hamilton's going to try and run away, but we know if Leclerc can get past Gasly, it shouldn't be too long before he runs down Lewis Hamilton. But he's got Russell and Lando Norris hot on his tail. Now Gasly locks up into the corner. He goes wide, and Leclerc's not able to pass him right away, so everybody's slowed up. But now, there goes Leclerc now through into the next second position. As for myself, you can see on the track map how everybody got stacked way up behind Gasly, but I was a little bit off of the back of Nico Hülkenberg in 14th place, and actually again under pressure from Valtteri Bottas, who's going to look up the inside, not going to let this one happen. Right to the back of the Haas. There's Albon going for an overtake now on Yuki Tsunoda. I'm going to catch Hülkenberg off guard. We'll go alongside the German driver, nearly run him out of real estate, but left him just enough room right there, and we get through into P14, right to the back of Albon now, and Albon's going to go through on Tsunoda. All of a sudden, these pair of Williams are on the move now, up to P12 and P14. Can we get a move done on Tsunoda in the V-Carb? I think we can. To the left side, we're going to drag race on the run into turn number 1. We'll try to go around the outside, leave them plenty of room, and there we go into P13. Devin Butler in the Kick Sauber seems to be struggling a little bit. Fellow Rookie of the Year contender. Here goes Albon for the overtake on him, and just like that, we put the mediums on this Williams, and not only for me, but Albon's just taking off. But Albon started on mediums, so it's interesting to see that suddenly he's just able to go. as that was all happening, Albon got through, but look at these moves that were happening as well at the very front of the grid. This was Lando Norris, Oliver Bearman, everybody fighting. How about Oliver Bearman through into P6, and now Leclerc on lap 11 going for the overtake for the lead of this race. He runs down Hamilton, and he'll pass him with ease. Hamilton can't really do much. He keeps his nose peeking on the right side, but it's not enough. Leclerc through into P1, Hamilton, Russell second and third, and then just moments prior, here's Oliver Bearman passing Gasly, and up into the top 5 he goes in his F1 debut in replacement of Carlos Sainz. What a drive from Oliver Bearman, but the question is, can he make it stick for the remainder of this Grand Prix? We're to the back now of Devin Butler in these now early moments of lap 12, just shy of the halfway point of this Grand Prix, but here comes Yuki Tsunoda actually with a lunge up my left side as I make a huge lunge up the inside of Butler. A very unexpected one for him, and I honestly, unexpected for me too. I wasn't even really setting him up for a move. It just kind of happened, so we managed to make it work without any contact, without running him off circuit. We get through into P12. Sergio Perez in P10, now 9th because Ocon locks up on the apex, the same corner that Gasly locked up on the restart lap, but a few moments later he would immediately fight back in his Alpine. We know that Alpine has more speed than us in the R&D, and he puts it to, of course, proving it, I should say, as he goes back through on myself. And now here's George Russell on lap 12 actually passing Lewis Hamilton on the DRS straight, so that will put him through in a second. Hamilton's going to start falling down the order a lap later. Now here comes Lando Norris. Hamilton on 13 lap old medium tires while everybody else is on about 6 or 7 lap old medium tires, so they are able to make it work, and Hamilton's going to start tumbling down the order. Alex Albon is on it right now. He now goes around Pierre Gasly. Into P9 goes our Williams teammate now, and here comes Esteban Ocon now looking for a move on Gasly on the long DRS straight, and here comes Devin Butler as well joining the party just behind myself. Who's going to come out on top of this battle? It's not going to be Ocon. Gasly might be a teammate, but not driving like one there. Now a bit of a check up there, an unexpected one, and that's going to hurt my progress, and here comes Butler around my outside into the braking zone. He gets clear at the apex there, just braver on the brakes than I was on that scenario, and through into P12 he goes. Back to P13 we go as Oliver Bearman starting lap 14 is going to go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. This is going to put him into P4 in his Formula 1 debut. One heck of a drive from him. Of course, that doesn't help my situation at all, but we'll wait and see how the rest of this race goes. We're only halfway just about now as Butler now goes through on Pierre Gasly, and now it's my turn now as Butler actually locks up on the apex, actually hit the back of the Alpine. Fortunately, we do not get any damage out of it now as we would continue to follow Gasly, but here we go looking for the overtake now, but he's still going to have good straight line speed, so it's not going to just be a walk in the park. Now Gasly going to fight back. We have the DRS, but here comes a V-carb. Yuki Tsunoda gets to my right side, catches me off guard there, and I can't stick it up the inside into that corner unless I'm an idiot, so and I'm not always an idiot. So we now fight back though, a little bit of a switchback on Tsunoda, but look at the straight line speed and the Visa Cash App RB, and now he looks up the inside of Gasly, and now we're going to try and follow the Japanese driver through, maybe potentially into P12, as now Tsunoda keeps it up the inside. I'm going to look for the move right here, finally going through on Pierre Gasly, who tries to stick it up the inside in the penultimate corner, and as we switch over, he's going to come into the pit lane actually, and Lewis Hamilton as well, making his one and only pit stop now. He goes on as expected to the hard compound tire. Pierre Gasly will do the same thing here. Now Charles Leclerc out in front of George Russell and Lando Norris right now, as here we go for an overtake on Tsunoda, trying to make up some of the ground that we had lost because of those issues there and those fights with Gasly and whatnot. We go around the outside, an easy overtake there up into P11. How about our teammate of Albon, who scored up in 8th position in front of Esteban Ocon right now. Devin Butler in P10, having a great drive as our Williams teammate now. On top of that, we are seeing a great pace suddenly for myself being found here as we are starting to reel in Devin Butler, who's 2 seconds ahead, and we have driven away by over a second to Yuki Tsunoda as well. So we are starting to find a really good pace, and we're going to get it just right around under 2 seconds just about here, 1.9, starting lap 17. But things are about to very abruptly change for myself, and it would happen on lap 17 as I hit the brake right here. I felt a huge snap in my brake pedal. You see me have a really awkward corner, and my brake pedal would break. No. So I had to take matters into my own hands and put an elastic band around my foot and the brake pedal to try and get it to work for the remaining laps of this race. Obviously not going to be easy, and you can see the time would start to increase to Butler, now up to 2.2, 2.3 seconds. I was able to adapt really easily. The main issue was I couldn't feel basically my brake pedal until I hit about 50% brake pressure. Before that, I couldn't feel the brake input at all. But here we go. Leclerc's coming into the pits, Russell as well. This is a crucial pit stop for both drivers. Hards go on to the Ferrari, and he gets out in front of Russell, so he'll be okay there. As now, here comes Oscar Piastri, still on the racetrack, actually fighting with Oliver Bearman, who locks up on the apex into turn one. He goes wide a little bit. That's going to be costly there. He loses a position, and he might lose another one or two through the pit stop cycle with the time he just lost on that one. As for myself, we're coming out behind Norris as well as Russell and Leclerc. We are about to make our pit stop. Albon's already come in, and of course, yeah, we're going to be coming in here basically at the end of lap 19. We actually have Lewis Hamilton running us down, but we're going to go through the grid just as pit stops are kicking off for myself.
Leclerc has control with 10 laps to go in what has been an eventful race, to say the least.
Russell maintains second over Norris, and now Hamilton. Lots more drivers are making their second and final stops right here.
Here comes Owen into the box for his final stop here, guys. Owen reported a brake issue a few laps ago, and he was told to try and manage it to the end of the race. They cannot fix it.
That would explain his fall-off in lap times recently. There's Oliver Bearman. What a debut for one of our upcoming stars of Formula One. And of course, we wish Carlos Sainz a speedy recovery, as we hope to see him back in Suzuka.
We expect Carlos back quick, as he will continue his quest to land a ride for 2025. He's got options right now, of course, from Mercedes, maybe even Alpine, Sauber, Haas as well.
We'll see where he ends up for next year, and hopefully we will find out soon enough. So much silly season news, I think, could be coming after, of course, the Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari announcement to kick off this season.
What on earth happened to Lance Stroll? Did we miss something? He finds himself all the way down in 17th place currently.
There you have Casper Ackerman at the very back of the grid in the Haas. Not the day he was looking for now. We're behind, unfortunately, Devin Butler still, but we have reeled him in at least through the whole pit cycle. Here comes Sergio Perez on lap 22, actually passing Lewis Hamilton. Now Hamilton just doesn't seem to have the pace at all, no matter what strategy they're going with at this point. Of course, his hards are a bit older than the guys still around him because of the one-stop strategy compared to everybody else's two-stop strategy. For myself, I couldn't really maximize the pace in the car anymore because of the brake issues that we were facing, so it was all about just holding on at this point, holding stationary, kind of using Devin Butler as my pulley. He was pulling me along as we come to 5 laps to go in this Australian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc is 1.8 seconds ahead, 1.9 seconds ahead of George Russell. He is cruising to victory in this Australian Grand Prix now as we slip inside a little bit there, but on this medium compound tire, having a great run in these closing laps. Of course, everybody around us actually on the hard compound tire, but since we started on the softs, we can of course go to just a set of mediums one more time without breaking any rules, of course, now. But yeah, just kind of letting Butler pull me along and waiting for the right opportunity to actually go for an overtake. Now, Alex Albon, unfortunately, had dropped to P11 in these closing laps, so he's trying to get Williams our first points as a team this season, but it looks like it might not actually happen, unfortunately, now as we come up towards these final 2 laps of racing here. What a Grand Prix it has been. We've really had it all here in Australia today, and hold on, we might have a chance there actually really abusing the track limits, but we're not going to be quite close enough to Devin Butler to make a move here, so we might have to wait for another opportunity a little bit later on lap 28. Butler locks up, however, here we go. That's the opportunity, wheel to wheel on the run towards the third to last corner, but Butler keeps it around the outside, maintains the position now as Leclerc. The gap's down to 1.4 seconds, and the gap is falling.
Oh my god, guys, I'm losing power.
You hear it there, Leclerc says he's losing power, the gap to 1.2 as we start 2 laps to go, looking for a move now on Devin Butler. Will go around the outside into turn number 1. We'll get the job done. We take the position there, just barely keeping it within the track limits now, and we continue on in P12. Albon P11 behind Gasly for 10th. Ocon just in front of Gasly for 9th, and there's Bottas going for a move as well on Devin Butler, but the fight for the win is on because Leclerc is in trouble. He's losing power, and George Russell is on to the back of him into the penultimate turn, coming to 1 lap to go in the Australian Grand Prix. You could not have timed losing power any worse for the Ferrari. Here we go, 1 lap to go here from Australia. Now up the inside goes George Russell for the lead of this Australian Grand Prix. The first non-Red Bull winner is on the way, but who's it going to be, Leclerc or Russell? It might be Leclerc if he can just hold on a little bit longer. Ferrari trying to find a solution to the power, but I don't think it's going to happen. Around the outside, what a move from Russell to get there, and he clears them. To the lead on the final lap goes George Russell, looking to take victory here from Albert Park, and he's already driving away from the Monegasque of Charles Leclerc. For myself, it's P12, slipping and sliding a little bit on the apex there, but it's going to be short of points for both myself and Albon. But what a drive. Once we got off those soft tires onto the mediums, we went all the way up to P12, but it's all George Russell. Rounding the final turn, he increased the gap by over a second out of the final turn. George Russell and Mercedes will win their first race of the season in Australia.
Unacceptable. I can't believe this, guys. Me.
You hear the joy out of George Russell and the disappointment out of Charles Leclerc. Of course, Leclerc had the win locked up until losing power late in the closing moments of this race. We round the final turn. It's P11 for Alex Albon, P12 for us. Albon takes the lead in the teammate battle 2-1 as we cross the stripe for a solid 12th place effort.
Great drive, Gary. Both you and Alex were on it today. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everybody. If we can just find that pace in qualifying, I mean, we're going to save ourselves a lot of hassle on Sunday.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes.
So George Russell, your first non-Red Bull winner of the season. We thought it was going to be Charles Leclerc instead, but it turns into Mercedes over top of the Ferrari team at the very end, of course. Now, Lewis Hamilton with a bit of a rough ending there, and Oliver Bearman ended up kind of shuffling down the order a little bit, but still nonetheless had a very respectable debut in Formula One in place of the, of course, under the weather Carlos Sainz here. Now, as Lando Norris on the podium, McLaren brought some upgrades this weekend. I forgot to kind of highlight that, but they brought some upgrades that puts them quite a ways higher than they were in the first 2 rounds of the season. So definitely need to pay attention to McLaren kind of sneaking their way in there a little bit, I guess you could say. Now, as we, of course, as well see no Red Bull on the podium either. So not only do they lose their first race of the season, but they're not even seen on the podium here. Now, as you can see, Perez 4th. Alonso got Hamilton on the final lap for 5th. Piastri, Bearman in P8. But yeah, Piastri with a solid day in P7 for home driver there. And Ricciardo, the other home driver, P17 in front of Casper Ackerman. Yuki Tsunoda, by the way, had a DNF. Don't know where that happened. Never saw that happen in my race, so I don't know if that was on the final lap or what. But Leclerc now takes the championship lead, actually. 6 points out of Perez, 10 over Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton 4th and 5th now, as you see. 13th and 14th for myself and Albon. That's going to wrap it up for me. Next episode, we head to the Japanese Grand Prix from Suzuka. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.